Hello everybody and good evening. Welcome to yet another live stream. Feels like ages since the last one, but it's only been a week. Hope that everybody's okay. And first things first, so the usual check. Please everyone tell me that you can both see and hear me with relative ease. Hello, hello, hello. So who have we got? Is it crackly again? Does it seem like a connection thing, or does it seem like a this is a pain. This is audio is crackling. Audio is crackling. Okay, bear with me. Oh, better. Okay, so I think there is some connection. Okay, so if it's better, we have some. We have some sort of. Let me know if the okay, all right. I think we appear to have some weird audio type issues, and I don't know what they are. The recording system that I'm using is just the exact standard audio recording system that I would use for every other single video, and the connection though is not so great. Connection not so great at all. Okay, exquisite audio, so that's what it should be. I live in the middle of nowhere, and the connection here is a little bit sporadic, to say the least. So everyone's saying the audio is good now, which is great. So I'm just going to carry on, and I apologise in advance. Okay, yeah, I can see that the connection isn't always perfect, but as we got people here, I put a little post out on Instagram earlier, asking for people on there to send me some questions. So I suppose I shall start by answering some of those. Okie dokie. So here we go. Let's get this up. Here's the funny thing. I'm not always the most technically savvy. So Calvin's just asked an interesting question. What movies did I work on in my previous career? I shall never spill those particular beans if I'm really, really lucky. Nobody will ever find out. In truth, there's a few of them I was actually kind of proud of. Probably just as many that I wasn't. So, yeah. Okie dokie. Right, let's pull up these questions. Ben asked, what have I considered the best engine ever made, and what would I shoehorn it into? I don't know. Best engine ever made? I'm not sure. But I mean, I've been doing a series on special engines, and there's a lot in there, and it's just okay. All right. Let's talk about this, okay? Because everybody, whenever I said that I work in film, everybody thinks that I worked in some sort of adult industry. I did not. If I did, I would say. Unfortunately, the tale of the adult film industry is actually a really, really tragic one, because by the time I came into the film business, which was professionally speaking, 2010 or so, that industry was pretty much gone. A few of the people that taught me had done the odd bit of extra work after dark for that, but yeah, I never did. I did do some interesting, colourful films, but. I'll let all you guys think that if you want. If it makes you feel better, please go right ahead. All right, so here's some random questions. Let me see them. Oh, there were some pretty decent ones in here. What Italian car for under £5,000? Now, one thing I would like. So I love getting feedback from you all. I'm thinking of doing a few more videos, like a recent one I did where I looked through the classifieds. So I did one talking about 5 alternatives to the Land Rover Defender. But that, to be fair, is quite easy because that's 80,000 quid, and I didn't really set myself any limits for that one. So I would love ideas for classified car challenges. So like this guy said here, what Italian car under 5 grand. I'm partly inspired because I have been binge watching all of the old Top Gears recently. And sometimes it's kind of sad because you see some of these challenges. So, for example, they did the cheap track car one where they bought an E60 M3 and a Merc 190E, and it was a Cosworth, wasn't it? Escort Cosy for like 5 grand or something silly. And yeah, you're just not going to be able to do that now, like even for ones as bad as those. So I'd be really interested in knowing sort of what challenges, like, you know, I don't know, French cars for 2,000 quid or something. The more interesting, the better. So have a think about that. I would love to know. So yeah, 5 grand Italian car. My initial thought would be Alpha 147 because there's no other no other restrictions here. He hasn't said whether he wants a, you know, an everything or a, you know, sporty car or a fun car or a convertible or anything. A Fiat Barchetta, I saw got mentioned. So yeah, I really don't know. At least you get an Alpha 159, but that would be potentially really painful. So what's one car that I've always wanted to review? A really broad one. Well, I suppose I should say Carrera GT. There's just like a dream car. I'm not sure whether a review of a Carrera GT would actually be that interesting. Tricky. Actually, I'll tell you something. No, here you go. I can answer 2 questions at once almost. An Italian car that I would really love to review, Fiat Coupe. Back in the day, my dad actually had 3 of them, I think. A 16-valve turbo, and a 20-valve turbo. And the 16-valve was chipped, which was a really, you know, exciting, unheard of thing back in the 90s. And that was a cool car. I mean, I remember even back then, he said that the handling was not up to scratch. But yeah. Okay, so Owen's asked, have I ever driven an original Mini? Yes, I have. And in fact, there is a video coming out on that exact topic in 8 days. There you go. What are my thoughts on the new AMG C63 being a 4-cylinder? I personally think that's suicide. At the very least, they could have gone with a 6, surely. I really don't know what they're thinking with that one. Mercedes must be in a lot more trouble than we realise in terms of emissions, because both Audi and BMW are pretty committed to their 6 cylinders in that category. And I guess if you want a V8, Lexus still sell one, do they? Do they not? I know they're doing the LC500, but that's not really a C63 rival. Okie dokie. What do I think of Ford ending the Focus RS forever? Well, it is kind of sad, even though I've never really been a fast Ford fan. I'm just not a Ford guy, which is I mean, sacrilege because I live, you know, an hour and a half away from Dagenham or so. So yeah. Okay. Budget 5 grand. Oh, 6 Series. Z4 or 3 Series Coupe. That is tricky. That is really tricky. I would probably go Z4. Can you get a 3-litre Z4? Maybe the SI for that kind of money. That's what I would go for. Here's a good question from Duncan. When does the original your Audi TT, nice one, become a bona fide classic? And which version is the best? Well, I guess if you wanted to buy one like for investment, investment potential, I'd probably go for a really early one that's just totally standard. Audi UK have a spoilerless one, and they've also got the TT Sport Quattro that was in this week's 1.8 turbo engine video. What do I think of the Mustang Mach-E? Very interesting car. A chap I know, Anthony on Sports and Touring, cool guy, nice channel. He has ordered one, so I'm going to try and ask him really nicely that when that comes out, I can have a go. So yeah, a couple of people mentioned, or at least one person multiple times maybe, has mentioned the Alfa Brera, which I did own an example of. It was a great car, but it was so close, so close to being brilliant, the Brera. It is still a stunningly beautiful car. The interior is wonderful to look at. Okay, it does fall apart. And but there's no room in it, none. Boot space is miserable, rear seat space non-existent. The whole thing's just too big inside, and they literally fall apart. They literally fall apart. What do I think of the Jaguar XK8, and also as a first car? I think a Jaguar XK8 would make a terrible first car, especially if you're thinking of an early XK8, because it's slow when you think it's going to be fast. It'll be fast when you think it's going to be slow. It's got a dim-witted automatic gearbox. It's got old brakes and traction control that is simple, shall we say. You could get yourself in an awful lot of trouble. Yeah. Okie dokie. What else we got? Okay, Aston Martin Vantage S, McLaren, you said MC12, but I presume you mean the MP4 12C, or AMG GT. Are very different cars there. Some very, very different cars. I would probably be tempted by the McLaren. I have just done a video today on the McLarens, which was quite entertaining because I have all these people that don't understand how I can say anything nice about McLaren after having apparently made a career out of saying not nice things about McLaren. And the fact is that all you need to do is separate the company and the cars. And even my big McLaren video that I did came after 4 reviews, which I said really, really nice things about all of the cars. And the fact is that they are, I keep saying it because it's true, but they are generally much like Lotus in that I think the best McLaren to buy is one that's already got some miles under its belt, is already a few years old, so has had all the big issues ironed out, because a lot of their problems are just quality control, really. Okie dokie. All right. So Alexandru asks about the BMW 6 Series again. Would I buy a 645 or a 650i again? Yeah, I would. Oh, first donation. Now I recognise this from last time, Jaggy Wars, and that's a South African rant. So thank you very much for that. I forget that people can do this on here, and it's always very, very kind. I'm amazed when people make donations. It really genuinely makes a big difference. So you have bought me a bottle of Diet Coke, which I had run out of earlier in the week. So thank you very, very much indeed. All right, Seb asks about the S2000, how things are going. So things are going really well with the S2000, but things haven't really progressed. I have bought and paid for more or less all of the bits that I need. The only invoice I think I need to settle is the one with Öhlins for the suspension. But the whole project is on hold because it is for a couple of reasons. I am trying to save up some money for a big purchase. Also, I want to just have a little nest egg aside for just in case. And most of the garages that I know are currently sort of doing mostly work on key workers or essential workers cars, and I don't really want to drive across the country and get my Honda S2000 fettled, because at the minute the Honda's been extremely reliable as it is, and I've been using it as my daily, and I don't want to start messing around with it in case it's not reliable anymore. And yeah, so for now I just leave it out. Best first supercar, Audi R8, done. Okay, so will I review the Ultima RS? Yes, I will be doing an Ultima review. I have had somebody offer me an Ultima for review. Yeah. Have I read the latest lockdown rules? I haven't. I saw the announcement briefly, but it's sort of just come out. Oh, Claybasher, thank you very, very much. That'll help me buy some dinner tomorrow. Okay, so let's address a question that keeps getting asked by Germaline, which is asking about YouTube and money and so on and so forth. The reality with YouTube is that, like a lot of business, it takes several years to actually generate any form of real decent income. And so you kind of have this, you start off and you're putting loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of effort and time and money. And also it's the other side of it as well, is that because you're spending so much time and effort on the YouTube, you don't have the time for other things which might traditionally earn you money. So for me, when I sort of started YouTube, I pretty much stopped doing all of my film stuff couple of bits that I still work on every now and again, but that's it. As an example, tomorrow I'm doing some lecturing. Actually, it's Tuesday even. Tuesday I'm doing a lecture remotely over Zoom, talking actually about how YouTube is different and everything else. Owen, evening, better late than never. Hello to James. Hello to everybody else, of course, that's joined in the last few minutes. James Rowan asks about the blue Civic Sport he sold me. So that was a great little car that I bought with the intention of my girlfriend at the time using it to drive, to learn to drive. I then took the car on a big cheap car challenge thing up to Scotland, and I then did the same thing and drove the car like 3,000 miles around Europe, taking it all the way to Prague and back. After which the car had suffered somewhat, and I sold it to a chap for a few £100 who sort of just bought it because I didn't feel comfortable with her then using it to learn to drive in, and then also a few things happened that meant that she was a bit delayed and whatnot. Someone mentions that Mustang bullets are dropping in price. Are they? Because I know at least one chap that was interested in buying one of those, and he wasn't expecting to make any money on it, but he was hoping that it would sort of it would hold money at very least. The Mustang's an odd car. The Bullet is a weird one, isn't it? Because I don't think it has a much better spec than a regular Mustang, but I guess it's one of these things that people always go nuts for. Like Lotus guys go crazy for the anything with the JPS livery on it, all that sort of stuff. Another question about the earlier Jaguar XK. I will do a review on one. I have driven one. It's a little bit. It's in a kind of no man's land. No man's land of Jaguar. In that it's not a classic Jag, neither is it an especially modern Jag. If it was available with a manual in it, I think that would really change things. But as it is, it's one of these many cars, like a lot of AMGs of the period, that have been saddled with a pretty dim-witted auto box. MS Gibson player says, love the podcast, Mr. Brewer. Glad to see it growing. Oh, yeah, just hold out your hands, son. That was a terrible impression, wasn't it? That was awful. I watched a Wheelie Dealies the other day. From America, and poor old Mike does not take to the heat in the States very well. He did look like he'd melted. I get compared to him a lot. I get compared to Nick Frost from Shaun of the Dead a lot. Used to get compared to James Corden quite a bit, and that was when he wasn't really very famous. So if I was lucky, if I played my cards right, I could have ruined his career from early on, because I could have said some rude things to some people in London, and people been like, "Hey, that was James. That was off Gavin and Stacey. He was well rude to me." Anyway, okay. So, what are my opinions on the R171 SLK 350? I don't know. I have not driven one. Would I go for a BMW E60 550i or an M5? I think I'd actually be tempted to go for the 550 if I could find a sensible one. I know one of the guys on Pistonheads has bought one as a sort of cheap long-term loan car, and he's going to be running that. So yeah, I like them. Again, they're another car. You can actually have those with a manual. It does exist. If anyone actually bought one with a manual, I really don't know. When I got my 6 Series, I think there were about 2 for sale with a manual. One of them had a horrible specification because clearly someone just wanted a 6 Series as cheap as they could, and the other one, I spoke to the guy and he was really honest. He just said, "Look, mate, the clutch just feels horrible." He tried all sorts of stuff and he was like, "Yeah." My opinion on Fiesta ST Mark 7 as a first car, that would be a lovely first car. I'd be very lucky to have one of those as a first car, whichever one it is. If I had to go down to one of the vehicles that I currently own, which one would I pick? It would probably be the 7 Series, just because it's the most versatile, even though it's the one that I probably love the least. Second, maybe, I don't know. The S2000 is brilliant. I truly love it, and it's been magic when the weather's been nice. Yeah. Which £2,000 estate? Volvo V70, Saab 9.5, or could you get an Alfa 159 Sportwagon for that much? I always used to love the look of those. But then I realised, and I wanted to buy one when I was still doing film stuff, and then I realised that they have no space in the back at all, and they held their money really well for a very, very long time. Okie dokie. What will appreciate more in the next 10 years? The last Focus RS or the last, you've said M1, but I presume you mean the M140. Probably the Focus, because if history's anything to go by, people aren't going to look after their Focus RS very well. You know, they'll get bought by, well, to be fair, probably bought by exactly the same sort of people that go and buy a cheap 140i. So in 15 years, no one will be able to get a decent one anymore. So, yeah. Would I ever buy another 130i? Yes, I would. That is the car I regret selling most. I said that I'll be coming up to Glasgow later in the year. Will I be hosting a meet or anything? It's unlikely. Honestly, I have no idea what's going on with the remainder of the year. Like all of us, it's all a bit confusing at the minute. So, yeah. All right. 80s car, 90s car, one of each decade if I could. Not silly money options. 90s car, BMW 5 Series E34 540i manual. Red with a black or cream leather interior. 80s car, Lotus Esprit. Yeah, there you go. All right. What do we got here? 6 Series Coupe or Grand Coupe. Coupe. I do not understand the point of the 6 Series Grand Coupe. Surely just get a 5 Series. Am I looking forward to the new Yaris GR? Yes, I am, because I really like the GRMN. And I worry that the prices of those are going to slump seriously as the GR's coming out. But yeah, it's a pretty cool car. Have I ever been to the Netherlands? Yes, I have, and I'm currently trying to plan a trip to go there later in the year. But again, don't know whether that's going to be happening or not. A lot of really cool car enthusiasts in the Netherlands, so I would like to come and visit. And there's a few interesting car dealerships, even the odd car manufacturer as well. Do I think the Mark V GTI Edition 30 will go up in value? No idea. Have I driven a Mark II TT? No. No, I haven't. Sorry, Conker. Is it not GMT? Is it BST? I'm sorry. Sorry. Okie dokie. And you had to drop out of XC's number one. Oh, that's a shame. You can get a 159 Sport Wagon for £2,000, I'm told. Anything to fear in a 100,000 mile Alpha? Yes. Yes, everything that's left in it. 159, the big thing seemed to be the subframe rotting. I mean, I've heard stories of engines just literally falling out the car. My Brewer actually was okay, because you see, what Alpha did with the 159 and with the Brewer is they had this, just a tray underneath the engine bay, which is normal, but there weren't really very many drain holes in it, and water would get into the engine bay, and so the entire subframe would just sit in a bath, which in England would then be a bath of salt. And but the 3.2 had a hole for one of the differentials or a diff cooler cut into it, so the water could actually get out. So that would be fine. 348 or 355, easy one. 355, 348 is a horrible looking car, which I know is odd because I do appreciate that it's actually in many ways a very, very similar car to the 355, but it's just off. The interior on the 348 is also nasty, and it's one of these cars that I happen to think has now become a forgotten classic just because it, just because the 355 has gone to silly money, the 348 kind of followed it, but the 348, again, was one of those cars you could buy. And if 348s were still 20, 25 grand, I would say, like, yeah, that's a brilliant, ideal first Ferrari that's close enough to the modern era that you can have a little bit of fun in it, but also classic enough that you don't really worry that it's not that quickly. But yeah, a few people pointed out the fact that the Brewer weighed the same as a small moon, which it did. I don't know. I do not know how they managed it. I think when I was reading up on it, someone pointed out the fact that it was based on some platform that was designed for like a high-end premium car, and they just repurposed it into the 159 and the Brewer. So yeah. What to buy for 10 grand? Bored of hot hatches and fast coupes? S2000. I'd get a convertible then if you want something like that. Or you could get a classic. You know, there's lots of really nice classics out there that haven't got to silly money. So yeah. 987 Cayman or Toyota GT86, 987. What do I think of the Zonda versus the Murcielago? Honestly, it wasn't until fairly recently that I realised that the Zonda had reached the stratospheric prices that it had. And so, yeah, the Murcielago is always a bit of an odd one because some angles it looks great, some angles it looks awful. I can't get over on the Murcielago how the rear wheel sits really far forward in the rear wheel arch, and that yeah, it's a bit odd. Would I buy a £10,000 Lotus Elise? Yes. Yes, I would, providing it had no major damage. That's a tricky one. But yeah, I would. Also, a shout out for the 10k car for the E55 AMG. And to be fair, E55 AMG is a pretty cool car. I do indeed love those. All right, what car being released in the next 12 months am I most looking forward to? Actually, I've got a video out next week about the Ferrari SF90, which I think is quite an interesting and exciting car for a few different reasons. And I detail those obviously in the video. What is going to be interesting to see is what happens to that car, the prices of that car and everything else, because the market has changed so dramatically. Damien at the Car Guys put out a really good video the other day, where yours truly got a mention. And he's talking, from the perspective of someone that buys these serious high-end cars. I mean, he had no interest in that car anyway, but I think there's an awful lot of people that had orders down on some of these really expensive, $250,000+ cars that have now just said, no, thank you, because they know, and this is a great misconception that, people that can afford to buy £1 million car are happy to lose loads of money on it. Well, no, I mean, they didn't get to be millionaires by just throwing money away. What's my view on a BMW M140i? Is it a good time to buy now? Yes, I've done a couple of videos actually on the M140i. I really like it. What microphone do I use? I'm currently using a Sennheiser G2 wireless kit with a Sennheiser lav. That's what you can see here. Straight Stupid says the volume's too low. Turn it up then. It's absolutely fine. There you go. Look at you. I'll move you closer. There you go. Ta-da. See, you don't want to be any closer than this to me. Trust me on that one. Thoughts on the Porsche 944? Wonderful cars. I kind of missed the old prices. Do you guys remember the cheap Porsche challenge on Top Gear? What was their budget? 1,500 quid, and they got a 924, a 944, and a very ropey 928. That was crazy. What do I think of the B6 RS4? I didn't think there was a B6 RS4. I thought it was a B5. Then they went to the B7. I didn't think there was a B6. Do I rate the Suzuki Jimny? Don't know, not driven one. Really don't know. M140i or E92 M3? It depends really, because are you looking as a daily? Are you going to put a lot of miles on it? Can you afford the bills that the M3 is going to chuck at you? The M3 is going to cost a lot to run, but it is an entertaining car. Okay. Does an insurance write-off put me off buying them? I have owned a vehicle which was an insurance write-off, a Cat D, which is the more minor category. It wouldn't necessarily. You'd have to be paying the right price, because selling an insurance write-off car is a pain in the arse. In a fight to the death, who would win, Mike Brewer or Jeremy Clarkson? No weapons. I think Brewer. He probably doesn't have the reach of Clarkson, but I feel like his upbringing. Then Jeremy's from Yorkshire though, so it wasn't a silver spoon upbringing for Clarkson either. So it would be good, but I think Clarkson would tire probably in the 4th round, and I think Brewer would eventually sort of bring him down. Okie dokie, let's have a look here. Do I think that the COVID thing will increase PCP prices? Not necessarily, because I think your asking prices of cars are going to go down. Residuals probably won't change dramatically, so if anything, it might reduce them. Does a 991.2 GTS in the mid-70s represent good value in today's world? I don't know. It's the GTS is an odd one because the GTS to me is always just, I mean, they're brilliant, brilliant cars, but they're a little bit stiff for the road, and I can't help but think that people always ask a little bit too much money for them. Yeah. Do I see car dealerships disappearing in the future? No, I see them. I see them changing in nature dramatically. I see the way people buy cars being quite a bit different. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we sort of go more to the sort of online and sort of direct way of doing things. I mean, the way I'd actually rather see dealerships run, to be fair, is like you have, you know, two different types of people in your dealership. I would like to see and they do this in some dealerships, you have the product specialist, you know, the crazy guy that just knows everything that there is to know about these cars. And then the salesperson be the person that is just there to do the admin. How are you going to pay for this? You know, what term, what kind of finance, if any, you know, how do you want to spec it, all that stuff. And that's what they do. Because I think having the salesman then trying to sell the car and being on commission just doesn't work. There's also quite a few brands which I think could work from adopting the Japanese model. So there's quite a few brands in Japan, like Toyota. They have like there's 3 or 4, I think, different types of Toyota dealership in Japan. So depending on what kind of car you actually want, you'll go to a different dealership. And I think that they should do that with some brands here as well. So not necessarily as extreme as, say, like the whole Toyota and Lexus thing, but I think, say, like Porsche GT products should come from a different dealer. They just should. I think that's the best way to do it. You know, BMW, I think M cars, there's enough of them now, they should be in a different dealer. Because, say in terms of Porsche, well, the kind of customer that wants a GT3 RS is probably very, very different to the sort of person that wants a Cayenne Turbo. Now, okay, they're, yeah. No, we're not starting a GoFundMe to launch Mike Brewer into the sea via trebuchet. What the hell? Oh, it's a strange comment section on a Sunday night, isn't it? Oh dear, oh dear. A lot of people talking about the EP3. I do love the EP3. It's a great little car. Oh, we have 250 people watching at the minute, which is brilliant. Hello to all of the 250 people. All right, what have we got? Asim says that I'm awesome. Thank you very much. Yeah, so there you go. So someone's given an example. If you get the Veilfire version of the Alphard, you have to buy it from the Nets store. Okay, if I could go on a road trip tomorrow, I would go up to Scotland to the NC500 because I've seen pictures and it's empty, completely empty. And in what car? If the weather was nice, I would take the Honda. That's what I'd really, really take. What am I drinking? It is Diet Coke. Okay. Lot of nice. What do I think of the Green Goddess? Should I buy one? That really would be a question for my buddy Laurie from Laurie's Mechanical Marvels, or indeed Hubnut, who did a video on one of them. Oh, Reese, thank you very much for your kind donation. That's more for the old Diet Coke and Rice Fund. I've been doing a lot of cooking stuff recently, and I have I've mastered the art thanks to Zhang's Oriental Food Workshop with some other YouTubers. There's Chin and his guy in his mum Chu, who's amazing. I have mastered fried rice, and I've got there. Oh, blimey, stuff coming in thick and fast at the minute. Okay. The Golf R32 Mark V, Reese, I'm afraid I haven't driven an R32 of any generation. I really, really want to. It's another car I'd love to get on the channel and review. I've got an offer of a Mark V GTI, which I know is a very different car that I want to try and get on because I think that's another great first performance car. Patrick Steele, another kind donation, asks how the first-gen Audi R8 V8 manual with Magnaride compares to the Lotus Evora S as far as having the most fun on the back roads. In terms of driver involvement, the Evora does just beat it. And as good as the Audi suspension is, the Evora's is just better. Lotus deserve their reputation for being wizards with suspension stuff, and the Evora is genuinely absolutely fantastic. Hi to Andrew Boma. Okie dokie. RC says the live streams are very good. Thank you very much. All right, from Feel the Drive, another YouTube channel. Have I got any plans for podcast guests? Yes, I will. I might try and do some live. I don't know. I don't really trust technology because it's hard enough getting the connection to work well enough for just me. So we shall see how we get on with that one. We shall see how we get on. When things return to normal, I definitely do want to, I'm continuing doing the sort of talks and stuff. I mean, the live stuff has almost replaced some of my pieces to camera in a way. But yes, I do want to do stuff, getting people together and with me and chatting to them about various things. That is the plan. That is the plan. Would I consider a DC event? I don't even know what a DC event is. I have no idea. Okay. Best all-round daily for 50 grand. Does it have to be new? That's an important one. Does it have to be new? Let me know. Let me know, Danny. Thoughts on ULEZ? Great tax on poor people, and very, very much annoys me. I took my old Saab diesel into London to go and watch the premiere, first showing of Avengers Endgame, because I was really desperate to go and see it in the new Dolby screen in central London. And I paid 25 quid in fines. Well, not fines, charges, because I arrived in London at like 10 o'clock at night and I left at 4 a.m. in the morning, and that's classed as 2 separate days. So that, yeah, it's just annoyed the hell out of me. So best all-rounder for under 50k, new or under 5,000 miles. I guess if you could find a decent 5. Actually, I tell you what, my buddy Michael has been looking a lot at some nice Alpinas and also the BM 540i. And there's some beautifully spec 540i Tourings with the upgraded leather and everything else. And honestly, the interior of the 5 Series has really come along a long way. Anthony asked about best second-hand sports car for £100,000. Lots and lots of options on that. I have several reviews coming up. So I did the Viper, came out yesterday. I've also got then a Cobra GT40 and Alfa Romeo 4C review, BMW i8 and Lotus Exige and 718 Spider reviews are all coming out. They've all been filmed already, so there's plenty of content. Simple content there. All right. George, don't worry about being late. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's good to get people here. I think it's my mistake because I think I got the timing wrong because it's BST, not GMT. So, yeah. Okay. F12 Berlinetta, 720S or 488. Some nice, realistic, everyday choices there. Initial thoughts would be F12. Always kind of lusted after a Ferrari V12. The 720 is mega. I haven't yet driven the 488, so I need to do that. Someone's noticed the Morden Solus poster over there. This thing's up here is reverse. Glad you appreciate it. Would I rather go on a road trip with Mike Brewer or a swarm of bees? Not a lot of love for poor old Mike Brewer, is there? Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Does anybody watch Car SOS? I love Car SOS. I'm really into it. I'm not sure I've loved any of the cars they've featured this season. The Esprit was okay. Jay, please review an MG Metro. I will try if I can find a good one. If I had to live with one for a year, this is a question from Conquer Driving. Suzuki Cappuccino, Land Rover Defender, or Nissan Leaf? Nissan Leaf, actually, because I hate the Defender with a passion. The Cappuccino, I think, would get tiring, and the Leaf, I did the 1,000 miles in a week, and other than being slightly annoying to charge, it was actually a very pleasant thing to drive, and actually really, really nice to drive, actually. I liked it. What's for tea? Well, I mean, I've not really had a sort of tea as such, but I had a Sunday lunch. I had chicken today, which is most unusual. Not done chicken for a little while, so done that. Here's an interesting one. Track, daily, or crush, and I've got to choose between the RS4, M4, and the C63. Now, Duncan, you're going to have to give me some help here, because you're going to have to tell me, obviously the M4, I know what you're talking about, but RS4, can I pick, and the C63, can I pick any of them that I want, any of the generations, or have you got specific generations in mind? Because that's quite important. Do I think the R172 SLK55 is a good car from around 22 grand? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Suzuki Vitara, 3-door J-Reg. My thoughts, please. So I have a funny story about the Suzuki Vitara. I think we went on holiday as a family when I was really, really little. I mean, I can barely remember it. We had the Suzuki Vitara as a hire car. It was a great little thing. And when we came back home, my dad bought for my mum, I say as a present, it was just her new car, a Suzuki Vitara. She absolutely loved it. It's the best thing ever. Anyway, she was driving to work one day, and she came around the corner on a narrow country road, and a digger was coming the other way, and I think it had its bucket kind of just poking out from the back of the truck, and there wasn't enough room for both my mum and him to get past, but he didn't really realise that. So as he went past, he just clipped the car, pushed it into the side of the road, and just bent the thing in half. So yeah, it lasted about 2 weeks. My mum was absolutely devastated. Will I ever come across the pond to do some reviews in the USA? Yes, I have been to the USA before, and I've done some reviews. And if you go check through my back catalogue, you will find them. Okay, Sparky, no, you haven't been imagining things. I have done an Alfa Romeo 4C review before, and I redid a review of the same car not so long ago, looking at it now that production is over, as a used proposition and seeing whether it's now a good buy, because things obviously have changed quite a bit in the last couple of years. Okay, please review a Lancia Tame at 832. Oh my, if I could get my hands on a Tame at 832, I'd be all over that. That is a crazy, crazy car. Okay, love the MP412C video. That's from Callum from CR Classics, another little YouTuber. Am I actually considering buying one? Yes. Yes, I am. I want this year to buy, for the first time in like a few years, something really special. And the 12C is a genuine consideration. Whether finances will permit or not, I don't know. So it's probably going to be just out of reach unless the donations really suddenly start flooding in. But I don't think there's going to be enough of that. But yeah, no, I have been thinking about it, and I would have one. The only thing about the 12C I don't love is the steering. It's just not quite as good as even say the 720 or the 650. Okay. There's a couple of 832s for sale. I could always ask the garages if I could have a drive. Yeah, I don't like going to garages and just randomly asking if I can review their cars. It just feels a bit awkward. And to be fair, I have a massive list, you can probably see up here, of all the cars that people have offered me to review, that already know who I am and what I do and all that sort of jazz. So yeah, I'd rather sort of go with the people that know me already. Best entry-level drivers / sports car for a college student, MX-5. VW Beetle, my thoughts. I don't like Beetles. I don't. I had a bad experience when I didn't like driving it. Maybe it was just the particular car I drove or the particular day or whatever, but no. Out of the current lineup of Exeges, which is the best value for money? The early V6s, although they seem to have gone up quite a bit recently. You used to be able to pick up a Roadster. The Roadster was always the bargain, because the Roadster Exige was the same as all the other V6 Exeges, but it had a soft top as standard, but it had no wing and no splitter at the front, so it just looked a bit odd. Well, you could put a wing and a splitter on it really, really easy, and then you had the same car, but people would, just wouldn't pay the same money for a Roadster. And I know people that paid less than 30 grand for one of those, and it's a hell of a lot of car for the money. So, yeah, but I haven't seen one of those for a while. So, but yeah, the 350 or a V6 XES, my preference would probably be the 350. That's what I would go for. MSA Goo 29 is looking to get a 2006 XES for 38k. Is this a good time to buy? Yeah, like I was just saying, I think 38k is actually quite a lot for the XES. I would try and get a 350 for that sort of money. Why the universal love for MX-5s when they all rust out horribly? Yeah, there are loads of dodgy ones out there. Loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of dodgy ones out there. But to be honest, if you want to get a decent, low budget, entry level sports car for $2 grand, there's not a huge amount of choice. Maybe I can look that up one day. Genuine alternatives to the MX-5. But let's face it, like even my S2000, for $10 grand, I could get a much newer, better spec MX-5 than I could the S2000, but you know, the S2000 is an S2000. Okay, so all right, let's answer Duncan's question. Track, daily, or crush, and I got a choice of RS4, M4, or C63. Now, what I'm going to do, Ewan, at 10 Swiss francs, which is probably, I've been to Switzerland before, so it's probably about £400 or £500. Thank you very much, very kind. Okay, so what I'm going to do there, I'm going to be cheeky here, and I'm going to make it a bit more interesting, because the M4, I'm going to say that's an E92 M3. Is that fair enough? Because then I can pick my favourite of all generations. So my favourite C63 is the W204 with the 6.2 litre engine, and my favourite RS4 is the B7. So I think I would daily the RS4. I would track the M3, and I would crush the C63. Unless it had to be an M4, in which case I don't like the M4. In which case the M4 would go in the crusher, and the C63 would probably be the track car. There's a bit of an odd. Oh, Neil has spotted the fact that I have a Planet Hollywood glass. Yeah, this is a relic. This is a genuine relic. I'm trying to and tart up the place, the studio, as it were, with some more interesting stuff. So you can just about see here a genuine old film slate. So there's a little story here. So this is a slate for Sarah. There was an incident a good few years ago now, because I was still in films, pre-YouTube, and there was a film shoot called Midnight Rider. They were shooting, I think it was a biopic of the Allman Brothers Band, and they were out and they were filming on a railway bridge. They wanted this, classic American-looking railway bridge thing. Anyway, they were shooting there. They didn't have permission to shoot, and a train came along, and one of the camera assistants, called Sarah, was killed. And that really, really hit home, because my camera assistant at the time was called Sarah. Great lady, really, 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 really good AC. And the thing was really, really big in the film industry, because it really sort of pointed all of the low budget filmmakers. Everything came to a head, because for years and years and years, people have been, trying to push their crews harder and to do sillier things. It's a bit like I've heard similar stories in the video games industry, Bob's working 10 hours overtime for nothing, so why don't you? And everything started getting silly, and then it all went wrong. Richard's recommended give us an address and people will send me stuff. I have thought about that, and maybe I will do it for obvious reasons. I won't give out my actual address, but yeah, I might set up a PO box or something. People in the States do it all the time. I do worry about what on earth people would send me. So Boris says I can now go out and do my stuff. Well, the fact is, Peter, that I've been allowed to work all this time. It's said very clearly. It said very clearly that if we can't work from home, that we are allowed to go out and do our work. Now, the problem I have, of course, is that an awful lot of my reviews are of personally owned cars. And although it's work for me, it isn't work for those people. So I'm limited to working with dealerships, who are all closed pretty much, and then making content on my own cars. So I'm sort of starting to run out of content that I've pre-filmed. So there's a few things that I've been doing, a few friends that I know where I've literally been able to just get them to, just leave the key on the car and whatever. The big issue I had in the early days was people just being silly and putting stupid comments and things in the video, because people don't understand what the rules actually mean. Apothecary Terry says if I set a PO box up, he will send me the key to his Fiat Punto that he wrote off. I will consider. I will look into doing a PO box for random people to send me stuff. God, I know I will regret that, won't I? I will regret. I'm going to be inundated with old written off Punto keys. Could I ever see myself going back to the film industry? No. Simple as that. Okay. Peter asks about the camera equipment that I use for YouTube. That's been discussed in a few different videos. Oh God. Oh, Owen. Oh, this is oh no. All right. This is track daily crush. This is send me in your track daily crushes, and I'll go through. Neil asks, I said in a previous live stream that someone never showed up to a shoot with their car. What car was it? It was an M4. Okay, so track daily or crush. My S2000, my Celica, or my old E46 330 CI Club Sport. Track the Celica, daily the S2000, crush the E46. Yeah, and that I would cry. I would really cry. Have I ever nearly crashed a car while I was reviewing? No, but I have had a couple of people that I was pretty sure were going to crash their car, and it's always during the drive-bys. A few people I've had, usually younger people that come out from London and don't understand how country lanes work. That's the only time I have, the only time I've been worried. David would love a review of a Bristol Fighter T. I mean, I would love to review a Bristol, but it doesn't seem very likely to happen. What made me leave the film industry? I think I've probably talked about it in a previous video, but generally speaking, I set myself a plan for where I wanted to be in film. I entered the film industry in the wrong time. When the last recession was on, that's when I went into film. So people that had been working, constantly for 30, 40 years, that were just not getting work anymore. So a brand new person in the industry just wasn't going to get it. I wound up spending a fortune on kit, which people never really understood why they should pay for the equipment. They would think that because I own something that I would just be able to give it to them for free. So I realized I was mostly just subsidizing people's hobbies. And the money I was earning was barely paying for the depreciation on my own kit. And I wasn't progressing enough within the industry. I could see that the industry was going to be a race to the bottom because even bigger productions, budgets were constantly being shrunk and producers wanted more for less. And to be fair, I watch films in the cinema now and they're just not that exciting. From a production perspective, it's a lot of green screen. It just isn't like the old day stuff where they're blowing shit up all the time. It's just not. It just really, really isn't. Have I tested a Superformance GT40 yet? No, but I did do a video with the Tornado GT40, and that is coming out in 2 weekends' time. Next weekend is a Cobra review, and then the week after that is the GT40 review, and the GT40 review is one of my absolute favourite reviews. What's my favourite film? People ask that a lot, and honestly, it's like asking me my favourite car. I really don't know, and there's a film for every occasion, but generally when people ask me, I say RoboCop. Okie dokie. Do I like practical effects? Yes, I absolutely love, I love practical effects in film. It just makes it. It just completely makes it. I was watching Armageddon earlier today. And even though there is some CG and stuff like that in it, I just love the sense that you get with practical effects. When it's real stuff really blowing up, it's just absolutely brilliant. It's probably one of the reasons I utterly loved Thunderbirds as a kid. It feels so much more real when it is actually real. Like, it just is. That's just how it is. Best car for 30,000 quid. Depends on depends on the kind of car that you're after. Opinion on the driving of the owner of the Clio 182. Pass. Has TVR folded? I am not sure. I am not sure at all. Have I ever thought of doing movie reviews as a podcast or a YouTube thing? Yes, I have. Am I impressed with how the quality of YouTube videos has risen over the last few years? Yeah. I mean, the film equipment that I used to own, a camera kit setup that was if you bought it new, would have been about £250,000 quid. I had a memory card that was £6,000. That was the level that I used to work at. And the genuine truth of it is that on YouTube, you would struggle to tell the difference between that setup and this one. Now, on a big screen, very, very different matter, and there are lots of other things that make the real professional kit better, and I would never want to shoot a feature film on this. But yeah, I do miss my old kit because I love geeking out over it. I just do. I just really, really do. But yeah. Robocop, what's the baddie's car? It's the SUX 9000, is it? Or is it the 6000? The 6000 SUX? Something like that. That only does like 6 miles to the gallon. And it's brilliant. Do I have a favourite movie car? That's from Sports and Touring. That's Anthony, another YouTuber. Check out his channel. Favourite movie car? I do like the white Turbo Esprit from was it Fiore's Only, and the gold one as well, the red Autumn Fire, bronze, whatever. Is it Copper Fire? Copper Fire. Yeah, that's a pretty. The only shame is that the car really doesn't get to do much in those films. The white one is there for like 5 minutes and blows up. 355's another favourite. They appear in a couple of films, don't they? You get the red one in Goldeneye, and there's one in The Rock. Rock's another great Michael Bay film. Love that. David Davis, how big was the memory card that was £6,000? It was a terabyte memory card, and it was a fairly serious piece of kit. Yeah, because it had the memory capacity of it was obscene. Like the speed it could write at is absolutely obscene. Yeah, Aston Martin are in trouble. Sparky has just checked TVR's Twitter, and there's been nothing on there for over a year, which means it's only slightly less updated than my Twitter. I'm terrible at Twitter. I'm very, very sorry for anyone that follows me on Twitter. I'm useless. XJ or XK 5 litre and Y. XK just feels a bit more special. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, shout out for the Ford Falcon in Mad Max, the last of the V8 Interceptors. What a car! What a car! Would I ever consider doing a video or transmission while on movie cars? Yes, I absolutely would. Oh yeah, the Aston V8. Is it an Oscar India in the Living Daylights, which they winterize? They winterize the car, and it goes from being a convertible to a coupe. Yeah, absolutely love that. Favorite car chase movie? Ronin. It's got to be Ronin, isn't it? I mean, it just does. Do I plan to get near a 992? No, I don't, because I've already reviewed one, and I don't want to go near another one. Okay. All right. Let me see. If I was this is a great one from Duncan. If I was filming a heist movie, what would be the getaway and chase car? Well, if we're gonna say that the chase car is the police, I think the chase car has to be some sort of angry Dodge. They use them in the States, and they just look absolutely perfect. So I think it should be that. Now Clive reckons that the getaway car should be a Jag, and in truth, there's a lot to say about the Jag's getaway car. I fancy here's a completely sideways suggestion for the getaway car: Maserati Gran Turismo MC Stradale. That's my shout. So yeah. Someone asked, any collaborations with other YouTubers? Yes, I do want to collaborate with Sports and Touring, who I think might have been watching earlier, and do something on their 370Z Nismo and possibly some other stuff as well. Been talking to them a fair bit recently. Yes, I would definitely do a collaboration with the car guys, and I have chatted with them a little bit, but of course, both our hands are tied sort of at the minute. Yeah, Nicole asked how my day is going so far. It's going very, very nice. Have I driven a standard 118 brake horsepower Elise? No, I haven't. Yes, I will be doing a collab with Ratorossa. I should have already done a collab with Ratorossa. That was actually booked and organised last year. So, yeah. unfortunately, we just couldn't. Okay, which Dodge is the angriest Dodge? Well, for me, for a cop car, it would have to be the Charger Hellcat in police livery with big old bull bars on the front, like really really angry. Or it could be, oh, what about a Jeep Trackhawk? That would be a great cop car. If you don't know about that, it's Jeep made a car with the 707 horsepower supercharged American thing in it. Did I see Michael Caine in an Alfa Romeo Montreal in the film Marseille Contract? No, I didn't, but I do know a guy in the local town who has, amongst other really cool cars, an Alfa Romeo Montreal, and he restored it himself. And yes, I will be doing something with CR Classics as well. Oh, hey Anthony, welcome back. Favorite movie car? I didn't really make a decision because there are so many brilliant movie cars. Okay. Okay. What one car properly scared the living daylights out of me in a sheer savagery point of view? Evo. In the States, I did a review of a Mitsubishi Evo 10 with about 600 horsepower, a huge turbo, and the thing is, I've driven plenty of cars with that power, and I've driven cars with more power, and I've driven faster cars. But the thing with that car was that because of the way it was set up, there was no real way to modulate the power delivery. It just gave you everything or nothing. And below 4,000 RPM, it was just there was nothing. There was nothing there. And you get to $4,000 and that turbo lights up and oh wow, it just threw you down the road. And it was shouty and noisy and fast and ridiculous. And yeah, that was scary. And then when I was reviewing, a bear ran out in front of me. A bear. I'm driving along in this crazy, insane, stripped out thing with fire farting out of it and all this stuff, and then all of a sudden this thing ran into the road, and I was like, oh god, someone's let their dog off the lead. Like, oh hell, I hope I don't hit this dog. And then I was like, oh, it's not a dog, it's a bear. That was nuts. So yeah. Oh, there we go. We sent a sub over to CR Classics, which is nice. And I suppose if people want to, who am I watching? Actually, today I found myself in some sort of YouTube sort of black hole watching the 5 videos so far in Harry Metcalf's series on rebuilding the engine from his Lamborghini Espada. That for some reason, I've just found it really fascinating. I'm really enjoying Ian Tyrrell's stuff from Tyrrell's Classic Workshop, even though I'm very jealous of the fact that he's got 40,000 subscribers after just 10 videos. I get. Yeah. If I had 50,000 quid to buy a new car for nothing but fun, what would I buy? Now that's really tricky, isn't it? Because 50 grand does not get you what it used to. You can't get any 911 for that. You'd barely get into a Boxster for that. You can't get an Exige for that. You can't get an Alfa Romeo 4C new anymore. No, not the A45. The A45 is not a fun car, not an entertaining vehicle. I suppose the Elise. Elise would probably be a good shout. No, not the M2. No, not the M2. M2 is not a weekend exciting fun event car. Can you get an Alpine for 50 grand? He said new, you see. He said new. Caterham. Yeah, Caterham is a lot of fun. Caterham is a hell of a lot of fun. Again, Atom, I'm not sure you're going to get. Mustang, yeah, okay, Terry. Yeah, welcome to the live stream again, Terry. I would say Mustang, yeah. Do I use Drive Tribe anymore? No, I don't. I was going to say something rude there, but no, I do not use DriveTribe. I haven't used DriveTribe for years. Frankly, I am constantly shocked that that it's still going. We've got Joel from It's Joel who's joined us. Hey Joel, if you like BMW Z4s, he is your man to speak to. Thoughts on the Bentley Bentayga? It's not for me. I really love the look of the flying spur. If I was gonna have a practical Bentley, just get the flying spur. Okay. 50 grand will buy a Kawasaki H2R that would change the colour of your pants. Yes, it would. Those H2Rs are pretty crazy. I guess that's the problem I have as well, is that I got used to bikes at a really young age. So, by the time I by the time I started driving performance cars, I'd already been riding fast bikes. So when you've ridden, a motorbike with 100 odd horsepower, getting in a car with 200 or 300 horsepower isn't really that exciting. Not in a straight line anyway. It's a different type of fun. So DriveTribe's problem was DriveTribe just tried to force something to be, and they just made so many poor decisions. And the website now is arguably even more of a mess than it ever was before. And I found it so funny that when I was on DriveTribe, when DriveTribe was a brand new thing, they refused. They did not let people embed YouTube videos onto their site because they wanted it all to be on their own platform. Well, even though I was only a tiny creator at the time, I thought, well, I'm going to get no money out of this. I'm going to get no analytics. I'm not going to know who's viewing my video, how many videos it's been done, all that sort of stuff. And also, I had a really horribly slow internet connection at the time. It was like a quarter of a meg or something. It was nasty. So I just thought, screw you guys. I'm not uploading to two platforms, especially when one of them is not going to give me anything. And DriveTribe, you knew the Clarkson having a May, we're getting loads and loads of money at it. So I was like, no, you want all of my time and everything? Like, no. And then they started uploading videos to YouTube, which I just thought was hilarious, because I was like, well, you bastards! Like you said I couldn't even upload my YouTube videos to your site, and now DriveTribe's main thing is YouTube. They're just trying to, save that sinking ship. That's what they're doing. All right. What do I think of the E63 M6? I haven't driven one, Joel, so you'd know more about it than I would. Most underrated BMW? Yeah, it probably is the 130i. Great car. Or, to be fair, the cars, particularly the 5 Series, which sit just below the M. So the 550, stuff like that, 340, they're always criminally underrated. And actually, for a lot of people, they seem to be actually brilliant cars, but people just go straight for the M, or they go for the cookie version. Yeah, Conquer Driving says he doesn't know DriveTribe is anything other than a YouTube channel. No, DriveTribe was intended originally to be like its whole social media platform. That was like a Facebook for cars, and it just didn't work. It just completely did not work. Okie dokie. All right, let's have a look. Favorite car in Initial D. There's an R34 GTR, isn't it? Is that one of the God Hand or Godfoot or one of the guys that it's been a while since I've seen Initial D, and the RX-7. Do like the RX-7. I would love to drive the 86, and I only saw Initial D a couple of years ago, shamefully. Rufus, yes, I have driven a 4C, and I have done a second review on one, which is going to come out at the end of the month as well. Lotus, Elise, Mini Cooper S, Clio 172 Phase 1, and VW Transporter. Good garage, yes, although the Clio is nearly redundant in there. All right, Joel asks, have I got any plans on celebrating 100k? I had some ideas, but to be honest, they've all gone to pot, Joel, since since all of this kicked off, because I don't think I'm going to be holding any public gatherings anytime soon, no meet and greets, all that sort of stuff, and I just feel a bit awkward about the whole meet and greet and YouTube type thing. It just seems a bit odd. I mean, like, because it's going to go one or two. I mean, it's like, because in my head I'm like, why would people come out of their day to come and meet me? What on earth would people do that for? My plan this year was to try and go to some more car shows, so that if people were there, saw me and knew me and wanted to talk to me, that they could do so, and also I could try and enjoy car stuff. So yeah, what car has surprised me the most? XJ220 is, I think, the one I often say when I get asked that, because I expected it to be horrible to drive, and it actually wasn't at all. It was really, really nice. What do I think of number 27 and Charlie Drive's doing engine work in the past few months? It's great. It's great. Number 27 in particular, if you don't know, is my buddy Jack, who made the slightly foolish and also slightly amazing decision to buy, sight unseen, a Ferrari 308 in lockdown on an auction with like an hour's worth of research, and won it. And he's been doing it up and sorting some things out. The car hasn't been running right, and he's been doing some hands-on tinkering and stuff. And it's brilliant, absolutely fantastic watching. The videos aren't too long. If you haven't seen his stuff, go and watch it, because I've been watching a lot of Ferrari stuff recently, actually, which I very, very rarely do on YouTube. But I've been watching mostly old Ferrari stuff. 308, 328, 348, 456, 550, 575, 599, that sort of stuff. Oh, cheers, Joel. Thank you very much. Very kind. Very unnecessary, but always appreciated. The worst normal car that I've driven. Good question. Alfa Romeo Giulietta. Okay. Z3M over Z4M. Yeah, I could. Yeah. I think the Z3M is the better car out of the box. Put it that way. Okay. Am I going to test drive the Up or Citigo EV? Probably not, because VW don't talk to me. Not that I've upset them or anything like that, but just VW's press department I don't work with them. So any cars I regret selling and want back? Yeah, my 130i, my 330 Ci Club Sport. I guess the Evora, but in truth, if I had my choice, I'd have something else back. I was actually considering. I thought, I just had this hypothetical thing. I was like, so I did the McLaren video that came out today, and here's the sad truth: if I wanted to buy my old Evora back, I would have to spend about £10,000 less than it would take to get a McLaren. And I'd just get the McLaren. I just would. That's just, that's just how it was. If I had to drive the complete Pan-American highway, Alaska to Argentina, what car would I take? I don't know, probably some sort of pickup or something. What do I think of the R8 RWS? Actually, I don't love them. So I'm talking about the first RWS, because I think they've just introduced another one, haven't they? But I drove the first version that they did. Excuse me. And I found it very, very disappointing, because it was lovely, it was nice, it was quick, sounded great, but then so does the regular R8, and there was no improved handling, none of that jazz. It just didn't. I didn't feel like the two-wheel drive added anything, and that was a shame. Chris wants more Jag content. Chris, unfortunately, a Jaguar F-Pace SVR review would have already been out. I had one booked as a press car, and that is one of the press cars that that I have lost out on because of this. Okay, have I seen Ford versus Ferrari? Yes, I have. Really, really enjoyed it. Car scenes weren't the most exciting, but I enjoyed it anyway. And it's so rare that as car guys we get any films made. I thought it was nice, and I enjoyed it more, I think, than I enjoyed Rush. I from a cinematography perspective, I hate Rush with a passion, even though I enjoy the story being told. Okay, a best automatic sports car for under 30k. You can get a Boxster or an F-Type. Supra or Skyline. Haven't driven one, but Skyline, Skyline's, yeah. Okay. Why don't car YouTubers use comment moderators to filter out the scum? We do sometimes. We do have filters. I can set words that will automatically flag comments. The issue that people have is just as channels get big, trying to keep on top of all the comments is very, very difficult. Very difficult indeed. Okay. Favorite HDMI port on the TV? Well, my TV in the bedroom has only one, so number one. Clio 182 or Twingo 133 for track work. 182, I guess. Yeah, just because probably they're pretty easy to get parts, and for a track car, that's going to be necessary. Favorite Stig from Top Gear. I saw the one with German Stig the other day. That was quite good. The Stig with the mullet, which is also very appropriate for Germany. There have been some Stigs of dubious political correctness. Rewatching some of the old Top Gear, like, I mean, I know they've had their fair share of controversy, but yeah. Well, Schumacher, yeah, I don't count Schumacher as a Stig, but Schumacher's a really nice guy. Okie dokie. Have I ever attended the Race of Remembrance? Shamefully, no, I haven't. I would like to, but I haven't. Who do I think is the best F1 driver? It's hard to say. Not Senna. Not Damon Hill. I do think in some ways that Michael Schumacher doesn't always get the fair showing that he deserves, because everyone sort of just, you know, I mean, British people don't really like Schumacher anyway. But I had a lovely story about him that I shared in another live stream, so I think he's actually a genuinely very nice guy. Yeah, he's a cool guy. Sports and Touring is getting a Clio RS trophy on loan soon. Have I ever driven one? I haven't driven the new Clios, no. The newest one I've driven was the 182. I wanted to do a 197 or a 200, but I think that, again, that was another thing that got lost out. Is there a Clio on my list? Maybe, who knows? Okie dokie. What's my thought on fast diesels? Do I see any point in them? Yeah, the modern diesels don't seem quite as good as the old ones. I used to like some diesels. I enjoyed the Q7 V12 diesel. Q7 V12 diesel is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Okay, so if I could have done any of the Top Gear specials... that's a good one. That is a good one. I don't know. Not one where you have to spend 3 weeks building a bridge. Definitely not that. India one actually would look quite exciting, quite interesting. But again, you don't want to be in a town in India. Maybe I could cheap out and say America, but not really much of a challenge as it do America. Okay, so let me see. Have I done the Best Heritage Sunday Scramble event before? No, I haven't. How's my supercar search going? So, because this year I really want to buy my first supercar. It's kind of going well. Financially, things have been going quite good. I've been working on this for a very long time behind the scenes. And to be fair, the way I run the channel, you're not going to see the usual, I'm buying a supercar, what should I get? All that shit. No, one day there will just be a video where I've just bought a car. That's how it's going to happen. And then the process will actually come afterwards. So yeah, things are going well. The problem I've got is that the budget that I have at the minute is like really painfully close to a few cars, but not quite close enough. And I'm trying not to involve doing finance and things like that. So it's been really tricky, essentially. Favorite touring car driver? Don't know. Good chap, Colin Turkington. Oh, there was a chap whose name Rob something. I can't remember. He's one of the privateers, but just always seemed like a really good egg. Cannot recall. Would I consider a Ferrari 430 manual? I mean, yeah, I'd buy one, but I mean, I can't buy one that's not anywhere near in budget. XFR or XJR, which one to buy? Ooh, I'd go for the older XJR. Really like those. The 358. My view on the Top Gear Falklands scandal and Clarkson getting fired. So, the Falklands scandal thing, I think, is really unfortunate. A real shame, because clearly Clarkson is not a total idiot. I think Clarkson is a much more sensible person than people give him credit for. I actually thought that in that particular episode we also saw a side of Clarkson that I think a lot of people didn't exist. To me, the story, Rob Austin, that's the guy. I think Rob Austin, that's the guy I think I'm thinking of. With the story of him and the 928, I think it's a really touching moment. I was actually reminded of it the other day when I saw one of TGE's videos, where he was talking about one of the reasons he brought back his M3 and his memories that it had of his father who passed away, and I don't think anyone knew that his father had passed away. So, you know, that I think that resonated with me, and I understand and appreciate the sort of emotional connection there that a lot of us, I think we can all agree on. I think that a lot of us, for cars can often mean so much more than the sort of obvious, you know, collection of, you know, metal and rubber and leather. So yeah, so I really enjoyed that. The Falklands thing was such a shame because, you know, they buy the cars ages in advance. They tell people pretty much what to buy. I don't think they actually pick the particular cars, and almost none of the production team were probably old enough to even remember the Falklands happening. And I just don't believe that they would have been insensitive enough to have, you know, gone and done that deliberately. I just don't think that is the case. And yeah, the reaction that they got was not deserved, and it's very unfortunate. With regards to him getting sacked, I probably have a more sympathetic view of him than most, in that, you know, I've done a lot of filming type stuff. I haven't done TV. I haven't really done that in any meaningful way. It's very high stress. I think that week he then found out that he might have cancer, so evidently he would, you know, not have been in a good mood. I know that they were probably out all day filming, and filming takes a very long time, and it's very arduous, and we only ever see the good side of it. Even with YouTube, you only ever see, you know, I make, at the minute, you know, a few videos, and they take a long time. Even a basic video is 2 or 3 hours to film. Top Gear stuff is going to take way longer. Yeah. Yeah, he just he had a shit day. Got home and the producer had failed on one of their basic things, which is that, you know, they had no food left, and so yeah, he was there. And yes, as Thomas pointed out to somebody else, yes, the plate on the 928 was on the car from brand new, and there is proof of that. I do not for a second suspect that they waited and went through all of the cars available for sale to find one deliberately with you know, with that plate on. But yeah, if you can do a register, you can do a basic check on the car. You can do an HPI check or whatever, 10 quid, and it will come out. Yeah, it's always had that. No, why would they deliberately go and find a car with a really super good? No, they wouldn't do that. Just Wouldn't do it. Do I feel I'm earning a living from YouTube, or do I still do something else to pay the bills? No, I am earning my living doing YouTube. To be fair, people ask me a lot of the time, do I do YouTube? I mean, okay. So last thing I'm going to say about the Falklands thing. No, it's not a coincidence. It's not going to happen. I had somebody the other day message me when they saw a picture of my Elise, because they also had an Elise and they were like one digit away from each other. Well, that's just because there were two cars registered at the same place at more or less the same time. Like, nobody wanted to cause any offence there, and they actually had already made plans. They had another number plate to put on the car because they were aware, obviously, of some problems that had happened already. But I don't think they expected anything to kick off in the way that it did. So yes, so a lot of people ask me and say, "Am I full time on YouTube now?" Well, the truth is that I've always been full time on YouTube from day one. I treated it as a full time job, put full time hours, full time effort into it, and now it's actually, giving me the reward, as it were. But it took out a very very long time to get there. Do I like Rick and Morty? Yes, I wound up watching a few episodes of season 4. Loved them all. Been enjoying a bit of snake jazz. But I want to go back and watch it all from the start. Sports and Touring makes a very valid point. People often ask how much money YouTubers make, but nobody asks how hard they have to work to make it. The fact is that if, as an average, I looked at the last 4 years of earnings and then divided it by the hours that I've put into it, I would be on well under minimum wage. Well under. Callum asks, am I a Game of Thrones fan? Yeah, I was up until the last season. What happened there? What? Yeah. All right, I'm just going to see if I've got any more questions on here. Someone wants me to do a 300ZX review, which I would love to do if I can. What is my target for the end of the year? That's a good question. I don't know, really, because the problem is I'm just constantly setting small targets. So it's always just like, okay, so at the minute the target obviously is get to 100k. I guess the target by the end of the year would be to get to get a supercar on the driveway or something of that ilk on the driveway. Have a special car on the driveway again, because I do miss that. Favorite OG Top Gear host? Now, what do you mean? What do you mean OG Top Gear? Because do you mean Clarkson, Hammond and May, or do you mean Clarkson, Hammond and Dawes, or do you mean Noel Edmonds or Tiff, or was it Quentin Wilson as well? Did Quentin do it? Tiff was great. Tiff was really, really cool. Do I get paid in dollars or pounds? I get, the ad revenue comes in dollars, but when YouTube pay it to me, it comes through in pounds. I think they'll just convert it to whatever your local currency was. And in fact, for people wanting OG Top Gear clips, Andy Willman, the famous Andy Willman from the Grand Tour, the producer, Mr. Willman, did actually do some reviews on old Top Gear in 80s, 90s. He did do one episode where he reviewed some awful like 90s hatchbacks that have been sort of, blinged up and garried, the whole max power thing. My favourite out of Clarkson, Hammond and May? I guess May. Yeah, May maybe. Owen says he's just checked prices on 12Cs versus 430 manuals. If I can afford a 12C, a 430 might be in budget, but not so much a 430 manual anyway. Do I think the car market is going to collapse? it's a tricky one. A lot of backlash today on my McLaren video for people thinking that, you know, what am I doing telling everyone to buy a supercar in these times of woe and economic strife? And the fact is this: a lot of people have lost their jobs. A hell of a lot of people haven't. Money is cheap right now. Financing is really, really cheap. Interest rates, I got a letter from the bank the other day telling me that, you know, the money that I have in there is now getting 0.01% interest. So, you know, there's no point having cash in the bank anymore. And prices of cars are low. So things are a lot cheaper than they were. So in many ways, it's Owen, find me a right-hand drive manual 430 for 65 grand, because I couldn't. I found a really nice F1 box one, and if you're looking on a certain websites, the people that list these cars are silly because they put manual, but what they actually are is the F1 box. So just check. Have I ever played around with an E38? No, I haven't. Do I like the Citroen 2CV? Haven't played. Haven't played with one of those. I would. Do I think the government will relent and allow hybrids to continue after 2035? I really, really hope that they do, because, yeah, it should be silly, absolutely silly if they don't. All right. So the car market actually had already come down quite a bit. The really, really silly prices and things have come down already, and they were coming down already. So I think coronavirus has put everything on pause, and I think there's going to be a whole bunch of people that have probably got their cars that they paid a lot of money for, and they're just going to go, bugger this, I'm not taking that. But the people that do want to sell cars, they're going to need to take, they're going to really, really need to take some decent prices. Would I not prefer a V10 R8 for 40 grand and pocket the other 20 grand instead of getting an MP4? It is something I thought about, and honestly, I probably would be giving an R8 some serious consideration, but Seb Delaney's already got one, and so that limits what I can do in terms of YouTube. And for various reasons, I can, I sort of need to be using the car for more businessy stuff. So yeah, it's all very boring, but has anyone ever mistaken me for Jason Dawes? A whole bunch of people have commented thinking that, hey, you're that guy that used to present Top Gear before May joined. I don't know why they think that, because I know people all think that I'm older than I actually am, but original Top Gear was like nearly 20 years ago, so the guy was probably older than me then, so was it the wrong time for Jaguar Land Rover to release the new Defender? Yeah. Yes, it is, but it's not their fault. They should have done it last year, but hey ho. Do I think Hubnut would let me drive Ellie the 2CV? I don't know. He might do, I guess. I haven't asked him. Is Pistonheads my go-to motoring forum? I sort of stay off Pistonheads these days because some people got very upset when I went on there and talked. Apparently I'm not entitled to defend myself on Pistonheads, according to a few of the people that comment. Are used car prices in the UK amongst the cheapest in the world because of the high fuel and road tax prices? No, I don't believe so. I get very confused. My sister's terrible for this, right? My sister is awful for this. When she looks at cars, one of the things she really prizes is low road tax. And bearing in mind that when she's looking at vehicles, she'll be looking at stuff with anything from sort of 30 quid road tax to like 120 quid. And she'll see the 120 quid as like, oh my God, that's a fortune. And I'm like, but you're looking at spending £10,000. £100 either way for road tax surely is not that big of a deal. It's, 2 tanks of fuel, if that, on certain cars. And so I get very confused. I mean, even really expensive cars. Now, if it's, say, something like an RX-8, or I guess the 350s, 350Zs, where they're cheap cars, but the road tax is £500 odd, that's obviously going to be a bit of a problem. But, and fuel. Yeah, fuel is expensive, but, yeah. Hello. Yeah, fuel is expensive, but to be fair, actually, I think the reason that the cars are cheap here is because we're just a bit of a, vain, vapid society that insists on always having the latest and greatest and the newest thing that we can have. And yeah, that really, I think, is the issue. Okay. All right. Let me see what else we got. Could I give you some sort of clue as to what sort of supercar that I'm looking at getting? Yeah, it will probably be something that no other YouTuber currently has. Also, I can't really give you much of a clue because I'm not even entirely sure what it's going to be yet. What do you want, Cat? She wants fame and fortune. The cat's name and specifications. She is called Florence. She loves getting in on the live stream. She is 8 years old and she is currently licking my elbow for some reason. What? You weirdo. There you go. If you want to see the cat properly, there's the cat. There you go. Florence. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, cat. You're very, very helpful. I'm very sorry, everyone. Okay, so Andy, sorry, I missed this around the first time. Should you buy a Carrera T manual as your first 991? Now, as your first 991 or as your first 911? The Carrera T, I mean, a lot of people seem to like it, but to me, it just seemed like a bit of a missed opportunity. But there are some good deals going on them at the minute because I think a lot of people bought them thinking they're going to make loads of money, and it turned out that they weren't. So if you can get one for a good price, yeah, I would do it. What do I think of used car prices in the US? I never understand used car prices in the US because the problem is, because the way the market works, things are totally different. Stuff that I expect to be dirt cheap is going to be expensive. Stuff that I expect to be expensive is dirt cheap. It's all over the shop. All over the shop. Okay, few more questions. Few more questions before I have to head off because the battery is going to die on the camera soon. I am going to get a battery adapter so I can then do this for a while, but I'm trying to keep these to kind of like an hour and a half or so they so they shouldn't. Yeah, okay, so Sparky's mentioned something, and so it's something that gets brought up all the time, especially on classic car forums, of people saying, oh, why don't we, put more tax on, well, why don't we put tax on fuel rather than on the vehicles? There's already loads of tax on fuel. Fuel's already more tax than it is fuel. So I never understand that. Like I pay more tax on my 7 Series because it's a flipping 6-litre V12 than I do on the S2000 in fuel because it just uses more of it. Easy as that. Why aren't Alpinas more popular? That's a really good question, and I think it's because we're just not so aware of them in Britain, and people don't appreciate what they offer and what they add. And to be fair, it took me a long time to appreciate what they offer and add. I haven't driven one yet, but a mate of mine was looking at some, and he sent me some listings on Auto Trader through, and they are magic. They're really, really cool. Okay. How bad is the R8 Artronic gearbox? When you're on it, it's actually not too bad. It's not too bad. But round town, yeah, it's not that good. It's not that good at all. The only bad thing about the S-Tronic is that when the S-Tronic was introduced, people really did just stop ordering manuals. It's very, very hard to find a late R8, especially V10, with the manual. Okay. I'm looking to get myself a first-generation Renaissance Megane. Am I going to get myself into a load of electrical issues? Yes. Yeah. What do I think of the Fiat Dino? I've been watching a few videos on the Fiat Dino recently, because one was on Tyrrell's Classic Workshop. The convertible, I'm not such a fan of shape-wise. The coupe, I actually kind of really like. Bit of Ford Capri type thing about it. Very classic 70s looking coupe. It's a shame they're as expensive as they are, but actually I do really quite like it. It's a cool car. I'd love to drive one. And a great engine as well. Do I really hate the Abarth? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Well, I didn't like the one that I drove. It was very, very disappointing. Probably one of the most disappointing cars that I've driven. And yes, somebody points out Alpinas are also very expensive. Yes, they are. And when they depreciate as hard as they do in this country, that is unfortunately a big problem. People just don't keep stuff that long in this country. It's just a thing. If another YouTuber gets the same car as me, does that immediately mean that I can't get it? It doesn't, but it's just the way that I am. Like, I'm the sort of person that if somebody else orders at a restaurant the thing that I was going to have, I'll kind of want to have something else. It's just me. Honestly, it is just me. Favorite road tire. I quite like the Yokohama V105s. Actually, I've run on a few different cars. Okay. See you later, PH. Okay. So, is it a good time to buy VX220 or Lotus Elise? Yeah, it could be. And I think Conquer Driving had his VX220, the one that I was on the channel. I think that was up for sale. Yeah, okay. What do we do? So one other thing I'm thinking of doing there's a couple of things I'm thinking of doing on the channel. I tell you one thing. I'll just tell you just before I go. I want to share this with you guys. I did go on eBay. I did go on eBay and I did a buy. And I'm thinking as a little extra for the Patreon, because I think I'll probably get in trouble if I did this on the main channel. Yeah, if I'm gonna do this on a Patreon thing, sign up and tell me you want to see it. It's $5 a month or whatever. Anyway, I bought this on eBay. I'll show you exactly what this is. This is the original brochure for a Ferrari 355. If anybody's thinking that this is a hint for the car that I'm going to get, I regret to inform you it's not. I definitely can't afford the kind of 355 that I want. And this is so beautifully, nicely put together. Shots of the engine, all stuff like that. So, there you go, 345 flat underbody car. So, if anybody would like to see in more detail, oh, look at that. That's so sexy. So yeah, I got those genuine 20-odd-year-old brochure in really good condition. So I might go through that on the Patreon. I also did a video today, or yesterday I filmed it, fixing up a broken seat motor on my 7 Series. Because Patreon's like a testing ground for different content for the channel, which I'm experimenting with. Yeah, Peter, there's absolutely no need to subscribe to Patreon because the main output is always going to be YouTube. That's the aim, is to always do all the main content is on YouTube. And some of the Patreon stuff does wind up being on YouTube as well afterwards. Okay, what's the difference in driving between the Aston V8 and the V12? The V8 needs revs. Even the 4.7. The V12 just has pull from absolutely nothing. So the V12's got a broader power band, yeah, it's a magic thing. Absolutely majestic engine for a sports car. The V8 possibly the better engine, but for just sheer awesomeness, yeah, the V12 is mega, and they sound so. An Aston V12 is a special sounding thing. Would I do a collab with Moorland cars? I would definitely consider it. I put a lot of thought and effort into doing collabs, not just who it is, but you know, what it is that we can do, how it'll fit in with what I'm doing, how it fits in with what they're doing. Etc. So yeah. Anyway, the little red light on the camera is now flashing, which means it's unfortunately time for me to go. Lol Meerkats, no, email me if you want to send me an email. If anybody wants to send me an email, preferably about cars to review, that is the email address to use. The Gmail one is not the best. It's easy to miss stuff on there. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Please join me. Well, I say join me or watch tomorrow's video. And tomorrow's video, I mentioned a while ago, was a special review, more special than I realised at the time, because it's the very first YouTube, or not just YouTube, the first road review of this particular car. And tomorrow's review is of the Xenos E10R. And it's a fun one. So enjoy that. See you, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining in, as always. Thanks especially those that have donated. Really appreciate you. Have a good evening and have a great week. See you next Sunday. Bye-bye.